Readings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath. It is so good to share energy with you today. We are out here on the sunny beach having the best day and just working from the beach today. I gotta say, thank you for inviting me in. I love my life. I want you to love the life that you're in. It doesn't matter what your ideal dream is. Whatever it is for you, as a Keys girl, this was a bliss for me. Being able to wake up and say, today, I'm working from the beach. I grew up 2 miles away from the beach. My high school was a mile away from the beach. We all used to skip school down there. The truancy officer would come round us up because he knew exactly where we were. We were at the beach, and it was an amazing upbringing. I took it so for granted as a bratty kid. We're 3 miles or 3 hours away from the mall. I grew up in paradise, guys. Y'all, I grew up in paradise. Anyway, so I try to make my days that. But let's say for you, your dream is a mountainscape, or it's a working from home situation, or it's a being married, or it's not being married, or it's a side business, or it's taking care of a family member that you love. Whatever your dream is, that is in reach and possible for you. Just want you to know that. I came out here with lessons plans and work to do, and we will do that. But what happened was the first lesson literally blew by me. I'm going to teach you about when people are manifesting you, thinking about you, even people that did you grimy, or people that just love you, because it happens both ways. But I literally planted my chair, spread out my little, blanket, because I'm going to lay down and actually ground more than just feet in the sand. And I wasn't even paying attention. And tumbling by came into my frame something pretty insane. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to see if I can untangle it. See if I can flip this around and not lose you guys here. All right, can you guys see me? Are we live? Are we live here? Okay. Hey guys. Hey. All right. It's a little beach time, and I'm literally reaching down because this lesson flew into me, and it's something my angels have been meaning to have me teach. Clearly, they said now. They're so funny how they work. So I sit down, I plant my chair, and can you guys see this? I don't know if you guys can see this in frame. A balloon comes my way. Now, being a girl that grew up in the Keys and did a lot of environmental, conservationist work, and we went to Sean Penny Camp and all kinds of stuff. Hold on a second, guys. I'm balancing my tripod, and I don't want to lose my phone here into the sand. All right, so there was so much stuff that happened when I was growing up in the Keys. That would teach me that if you see plastics like this, obviously, you want to get it so that it doesn't hurt our sea turtles and all of our beautiful, animals and creatures here in the world, period. And so this floats by me. Literally, I'm looking down to get my tripod out of my beach bag, and this star floats by me. So let's talk about this, okay? I'm gonna put it into frame so you guys can see that. This star balloon that's partially deflated, looks like it's a little worse for wear, and has a white string on it here. I often tell people that everything is a reading, because everything is a reading. Everything is a tarot card, whether you want to believe it or not. We're getting signs and symbols all of the time. And it is not a coincidence, not even in the tiniest bit, that this symbol today is mine. I'm going to teach you what it means for me, but I'm also going to teach you how to interpret when these things are happening for you too. But first, I have to unironically tie this here because I have to make sure it gets to the trash and properly dispose of it, which also lets me know that I have more spiritual work to do. And I'm going to teach you about what all of that means here shortly. So give me a second. I'll let you look at the beach while I secure the trash. I'll put you guys down here onto the floor, so hopefully you guys can see with my glasses. It's hard for me to see what you're seeing. Hold on one second. Hopefully you're seeing a beautiful beach while I tie this back up to my bag so it doesn't float away. This is not a coincidence at all today. That this star balloon with a white mystery would come my way. So let's talk about what this balloon is trying to say. All right. I also know specifically that this, oh, sorry guys, I don't know. Okay, I don't want to use the microphone. I also know, excuse me, specifically that this was given to me or gifted to me because of a very interesting new part of my reality. This star balloon would be associated with the sign of Aquarius. The white string is literally a depiction, just in case I didn't get the message, of who it is, which is a person in my life that is Caucasian. And the star is about healing too, so there's a lot of ways to read or interpret what that means. Hopefully you guys are getting a good scene here of the beach. Good morning, guys. So hopefully you guys are getting a good interpretation of the beach or getting a good view of the beach. I recently had to do some cord cutting out of my life, and last night, it's so funny, my husband came home, and I'm going to show you guys this on screen when I get back home, but he came, this is crazy. I wish you guys could see this star thing. Can you guys see this here? It's literally, I tied it to my beach bag, but it's literally like, absolutely not, we will not let you go. It's like clinging to me, okay? So I'm going to have to tuck it. Give me a second. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know what you see, but it's such an interesting story. So, and it just tumbled right into me. I didn't even see it. I walked onto the beach and I did not even see that this was here. So this is so interesting because usually I scan the beach for whatever trash. It's like a thing in my soul to always pick up trash when I come to the beach. It's ingrained in me from growing up in the Keys. Sorry, I keep forgetting. I don't want to ruffle the mic. I keep. Good morning. So, I will always pick up, plastics and trash when I come to the beach. So I scan around me, so I'll pick up even before I settle down what's around me. This literally was out of my view frame. I didn't see it coming. It's a clear balloon as well. Transparency. It's a transparent balloon. And that has very much to do with the message today too. I see through you. So what's happening is someone that I have set some boundaries with in my life, permanent boundaries actually, because they kept reaching them and they wouldn't be honest with me. They refused transparency about their deeper feelings, who happens to be an Aquarius energy. And so they've been sending a lot of telepathic messages, because we were very telepathically connected to me, because they want me to understand I'm in pain because you set these boundaries. I don't like that you did this. I don't like how I feel in your absence. And they also could be pissed too. There's a lot of things, so I don't want to just presume it's all love and light that they're sending to me. They're not, but they are SOSing me. Last night, my husband came home, and he worked at like a really fancy kind of golf club in the place that we live. And his members, and he's always, there's a lot of celebrity like athletes that come there. It's a very exclusive golf club. So they're always coming, he's always coming home with all kinds of swag that they're giving him from like celebrity bags, or they'll just hand it to him or whatever. And last night he had this power bank charger. And I wish, my angels told me to put it in the bag today, but I was like, it doesn't fit anything that I have. Another message. And so I said, I'll do a message when I get home, but this is why, because they were like, no, we planned for this star balloon to run into you at the exact time that you sit down on the beach, and this was a full story. So that's my fault for being disobedient, y'all, but I will show it to you at a later time. So in any case, it's this power bank, and on the front of the box it's just blank. You would not know what it says, and when I pull it out, it is literally it says legacy on it, and that is the person's daughter's name. And I'm saying that because you'll see it, and so it makes it only clear a family member's name. And so I thought, wow, this is so specific. But what it said was court reporting on it. And there was a justice scale, which has to do with Libra energy, another tell, but also about what's fair and balanced. And there was one white feather. Feathers would be associated with swords. And lately I've been working with the biblical tarot. And instead of swords, they use feathers. So it would be the King of Feathers or the Ace of Feathers instead of the Ace of Swords, or the King of Swords. Or when there's one sword, it's my favorite sword to see, because that means that whatever is being said is being steeped in the truth finally. The Ace of Swords cuts through all of the shenanigans, all of the rubbish, all of the BS, and it says this is either a big yes or a big no. but it's very, very, very clear. And the Ace of Swords tells you so. So all these things, and I'm going to do a video when I home to be obedient. They're like, we're trying to make it easy for you, sis, but you didn't listen. See, I am working on honing my intuition at all times. They literally told me to put it in the bag, and I was like, why? But why? I'm still human, guys. But anyway, this is why. So the lesson was correlated perfectly, because literally this person's child's name is on there, and child is relative. This is an adult woman, it's her child. And they were saying she's watching. She's watching. She's been kind of maybe running interference, which she did previous to the disconnection, and a lot of things. And it was really, the reason I say everything is a tarot card, guys, is because everything is a tarot card, okay? His name was significant, and I was showing my husband, he was like, well, what does it mean? And I'm like, that they're trying to get my attention, but spiritually, okay? Could the family members reach out on whatever they could? Could any of them reach out if they wanted to? They could, but I made it clear that I'm not interested in continuing the connection because I don't see any good coming from it. Now it would just be a game of spite for the rest of our life. And I see better than she could see about that. And I did not get it wrong. It is right. It doesn't mean that everything I say is right, but it means that I got that right. And she wanted to like negotiate with me. And I was like, girl, we're not going to negotiate anymore because you are so out of touch. You are not as clear as the balloons that floated by me here. That's what your angels were asking you to do. You're so out of touch with your emotions that you want to lie to me and want me to lie to you. And I'm not going to do that. Me living in inauthenticity weakens my gift and it weakens my ability to connect. And some people want you to be selfish, or she was being selfish rather, I think, to want me to stay in something where she was committed to dishonesty and inauthenticity. And that is something that I cannot have near me because it weakens me, actually. People don't get that. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about, Monette? That doesn't make any sense. It makes total sense if you're a metaphysical person or an empath. To my empath listening, you get it. How does it make you feel? Leave in the comments if you want to. How it makes you feel when someone is literally lying to your face and then they're asking you to play along. How did it feel if you had to go to a family reunion with someone who did you wrong and maybe traumatized you, but your family's like, just get along with them. It's the familial thing to do. Well, no, the familial thing to do would not to have been to violate whomever is the person saying, I'm setting my boundaries and this is it. Here's the gate. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, what it does, how it kills you inside to have to go along to get along when someone wants to live a lie. I'm not going to live the lie you want to live. We can deal with this and clean it up. You know, after what I went through, for you guys that know, I went through a whole thing. We all have had traumas and medical issues in our life, and I had one. And I learned a lot about wound care during that as I healed because I opted not to do a skin graft. And what you need to know about wound care or burn care, if you have not had the displeasure, fortunately, of going through that, is that it is fucking brutal. It sucks. And it hurts. And it hurts every time. And it hurts every day. But if you don't do it, you will pass away. That's literally how my nurse described it to me. Nurse Naughty was literally her name, Nottingham. As she called herself Nurse Naughty, she was a girl. Hey, good morning, guys. And so she 100% did this whole thing where she was like, it's imperative that you scrub, clean, and do this repeatedly. And the place where my wound was, it was a nightmare on Elm Street, okay? And that meant that sometimes in the beginning of it, it was not something I could even do. I needed help. Sometimes you will need someone to help you, especially if it's someone that helped to hurt you, okay? So you will need someone to help you. You will need someone to assist you. And when you're in any relationship dynamic, it takes two to heal that wound, okay? For me, that was my own body having to do the healing, right? But I needed other hands sometimes that were not mine, which was just humiliating, to help me get healed so that I could be fine eventually, which I am now, thank God. But what I'm going to tell you about this is that if someone wants to let it fester and they don't want to deep clean it, they don't want to pour the peroxide or rub it or rub the iodine or do the things, I mean, you know, don't take my advice on medical stuff, do whatever's working for you. But my point is, metaphysically speaking, there is more work to do than just like setting it and forgetting it and hoping that it heals between you two. And in this case, and in some of your cases, the work that you will have to do has to do with telling the truth. Truths are uncomfortable. Truths make us uncomfortable. They make us feel like we are not our best selves because it's like, I don't want to look at this. This is ugly. And it doesn't mean that you're always pointing the finger. The reason that I set that boundary is because I realized that for some people, they would much rather be in their dishonest inauthenticity than to live in the painful light of truth for a little while. And she felt like, well, I can only assume. Because I do the work I do, I can't assume actually and correctly that she felt very put upon by the pressure of not doing something right. We had very similar archetypes actually regarding our personality, which is type A. We get shit done, and so what that means is that criticism is hard for people that are trying to be perfectionists in their life. And but here's the thing: I've had to make peace with constructive criticism, and I put myself here on the internet, and you can imagine all of the feedback I get. But in my life, before I was ever on the internet, the work that I do meant that people could leave ratings for me. So I had to get comfortable with people saying they didn't like the work that I did, or saying it wasn't good enough, or saying it wasn't fast enough, or accurate enough, right? And that only taught me, this is how I work anyway, to continuously hone my craft until there was nothing left to say. And my angel said that even after that, there's still going to be something that they will say. Does that make sense, guys? You can never properly have people not criticize you, meaning everyone's going to find some fault. But sometimes when you're in real interpersonal relationships with people, the fault that they find may be actually divinely guided. It may be actually the reason you're in each other's life. This is what it is to have a soulmate, right? Everybody like romanticizes it. I want to be in love. I want a soulmate. I want da. Okay, me too. Love it. Same. But when you get in there, it's a mirrored energy that's supposed to help you heal with maybe hidden trauma and buried pain. The angels entrusted she and I to each other to do deep work to heal each other. And they let us coast for a long time. For a long time, the relationship was beyond divine to a certain degree. But then there were some other themes that came in that started to unnerve me. It's ironic that she was in a lot of judgment of me, and I thought, did you not think that I had judgments of you too? Did you not think that I could see the spiritual work you had to do? And in any case, my point in saying that is I see through you. Unfortunately, it's a hazard of my job, and it makes the relationship with me a lot harder than people think. A lot of people think this is easy. I want to be friends with you. Do you? Because at some point, some bullshit will come up, and if you are not honest with yourself, then it's not going to work. And here's the thing. Here's what I'm calling in now. I only like people that are honest with their shadow side. Some of the tribes members that I'm very connected to at this point in my life, even from a great distance, are people that are honest about their bullshit, honest about their anxieties or their proclivities, or honest about their shadow side and their dark nature and their Lilith, their dark feminine energy. Those are the only people. I want people that understand about their social battery. Is it high? Is it low? Don't try to give me something if you don't know something about yourself. Because then it's just going to end up with us depleting one another. And so I only want people that are willing to do that work and not willing to just stay in whatever is comfortable or whatever their codependency is. It doesn't mean I don't love people. I love her so much that I said, this is it. This is it. Not just to do it for fun. It's because I could foresee that she would forever feel like she was on eggshells with me because she didn't want to do the work that had to be done. And I was like, why put you in this position? Because what I wanted to do was continuously cut off, whatever access she had to me if she would breach or lie to a certain area. So let's say she lied about the rocks, right? And there's no rocks. And then I would say, okay, we're going to remove rocks off the table from our relationship because you lied to me repeatedly about rocks. So that's one thing. And then I could see something else. Now she's throwing other things in my face. And then I say, okay, we're going to remove plastic bottles from this because you're throwing plastic bottles in my face. So now, and I was like, I wouldn't want to live in a friendship or a relationship like that. And I was like, this isn't fair to you. It isn't fair to me. I don't want to police you. I don't want to be your fucking parent. I'm not trying to raise you. And it was so uncomfortable to me because I was like, I will do work with you. I do that for a living, happily. But I will do it for free with you because we had a connection and a contract. But that contract got null and voided when someone is giving you the kind of pushback where they're like, I like not being clear. I like inauthenticity. I like lying to your face. I like not being in touch with my emotions, except she was. Just not emotions she wanted to share with me in any form of honesty. So the fact that this tumbleweed star is blowing down the beach and just landing, coincidentally, this thing is so light and it could have easily blown past me, behind me, in front of me. There's so much real estate here. But it literally blew into my hand. I was reaching down to get something out of my bag, and then I'm feeling this bump up against my hand. You can't make it up, guys. This is how God's plan works when people are communicating with you. People will manifest you. Any relationship you've had in your life, people have manifested you. Anytime that you have ended up into a job or career, you've manifested that. So good, bad, or indifferent, people are manifesting each other. It means you'll mutually think about each other. Some business partnerships I've had started that way. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this. Then we finally say it to each other one day, and it happens. But it starts with a thought. So that thought form is not something that well, actually, if you follow Joe Dispenza, you can measure the thought forms and the benefits of meditation and peace. However, that thought form, not in any way can we measure it just by looking at someone. It's not something you can see, but it's something that I percept and it's something that I feel. So the tarot card reading for me is not only are they still watching, hi guys, but they are, and that's fine, okay? Because what the tarot cards of that power bank said to me too, one, is I was telling the truth. The truth is told. With that one feather, ace of swords, that's it. The scales of justice, fair is fair. Maybe also how I saw it was even if the person's, family member totally would only side with them and cast me away, which is fine. That's what I expected always. I never have any expectation of allegiance when something like this goes awry. Be with your family member. But I also understood that she could see it from both sides to a certain degree. But she will always ride for her person, as she should. That is being a good human in that regard, and I wanted nothing from it. That's why I was like, I'm backing out. I tap out of here because I'm not going to ever try to not only interfere, but try to compete in some weird, competition that was never made for me. My point in saying this is the power bank, too, is empty. It is not a coincidence that what he brought home was a power bank, guys. It means, quite literally, y'all have had people energy get off of you. And I'm not saying that that's something that she did all the time, because we certainly exchanged energy. She carried many heavy weight loads of mine, okay? So I'm never going to get on here and lie to you guys. My angels task me to be integral, otherwise they say they will fire me. Y'all get it? There's a reason that I operate the way I do. My integrity doesn't come from an allegiance to you, it comes from higher up. It's to be honest with the people that dispatch to me the gift. And I do not want to be stripped of my gift, so I'm never going to lie. This woman was insanely incredible in my life. Carried weights for me, carried emotions for me, did so many things for me. And that's why I thought I thought for sure, they always told me one day you guys will be tested. And I was like, listen, I was like double dutching. Like, let me tell you, listen, let me tell you something, angels. I was so cocky. You could not have told me that out of all the folks and soulmates I've had in my life, that this is not the one that I was not going to get it right with. I was so disappointed about how this shit turned out. But they said, this is still it. You did what you were supposed to do. Your gift comes away unimpugned. That's why I had to distance myself, because to stay proximal to this non-transparent star would be to weaken my intuition. The same intuition that worked for her, the same intuition that she trusted me to read for her, the same intuition that she trusted for insight for her, she was trying to undermine and gaslight when it came to things that had to do with us. And that was not right. And I was like, no, you don't get to tell me that everything I've said over the last years is rhema word for you from the Lord. But right now, this is no good. Now I'm getting it wrong. Now I'm misunderstanding when it comes to you hiding your truth. No. And I'm so sure about my intuition, because I have to be, even if I didn't listen to them telling me to put that power bank in my bag. I'm so sure about my intuition that I will disembark from a connection. I don't care how good it is. Because when it goes bad, man, does it go bad. So that's a lesson for you guys today. Pay attention to the signs and symbols that come your way. I am a vivid, bright person, so I request from my angels all the time, if you're going to give me a lesson, make it one that's as big as a freaking billboard sign. And this did not miss. Now, what's ironic is I was trying to fumble with my sunscreen and my tripod and my phone and my stuff and make sure sand didn't get everywhere. And I'm holding this balloon. It's wrapped around me and tangled around my fingers. And I'm kind of a germaphobe, guys. And I have antibacterial stuff and gloves and all that stuff all the time. Because of that wound care I told you about, I really stepped into a deeper level of paying attention to all of the germs, because the germs could have killed me. But I would have picked this up with gloves. Does that make sense? I might have like chased it down the beach a little bit and then picked it up with my dress or something, or picked it up with like my cover or whatever, right? But I would not have touched it actually myself, like hand to hand. And that's also very, very telling of what's happening and the energy that's being sent my way. She wants to reconnect. And I'm looking at this thing and it's like kind of partially dilapidated. It's kind of deflated, which is what exactly the angel said has happened to her energy, because I won't let her plug back into me. Because to plug back into me and to plug into you, empath, is a fucking privilege. And we sometimes undervalue ourselves when we get into connections. And people think that, well, because I always had access to it, I deserve access to it infinitesimally. No, you don't. There's always something, a cost of admission. And in this case, the cost of admission was the fucking truth. The truth and accountability, and not being so simpering and so fucking weak every 5 minutes to be like, oh my God, this is too overwhelming to me. This is a person who is just great in her life. I can't even lie. But she's so great that she's not used to being chastised and told that's fucking out of line. And it doesn't mean that everything she does is not out of line. It means that she has conditioned people into her behavior to think that it's fine. In fact, or a fact, and that's why I wanted to say this, guys, that power bank that said the name of the family member on it, the last conversation I had with that person, I said to them, I literally took a page out of your playbook where you said to me, and I watched you, that you don't bring things to this person until you've absolutely vetted it, because she can, things can, go awry, or she would get squirrely. She didn't say specifically what it was, but she would, like, let's say, for example, you're dating someone. She wouldn't tell her about that person until she was sure about it, because she just said she wouldn't, because it was just like, oh, you don't do that. So I observed her and followed suit, quite literally, and started to try to not, like, trigger my friend in any kind of way. Like, when I say any kind of way, y'all, I was trying to not trigger her at all. I was walking on eggshells. And I was like, oh, this is how I know I love this girl. Because I'm walking on eggshells because I don't want to hurt her feelings. And when I talked to the family member, I said, I literally did what you did and what you told me to do. She didn't tell me, advise me in my particular situation, but I observed her in her own. And I said, I watched what you did. And when she would talk to me candidly and whatnot, in the beginning of whatever was happening for her. And I said, I only repeated. And she was like, no, you can't set boundaries with her like that. It's not fair. That's not what was at the beginning of your relationship. And, I love a good argument. So I said, you have a point. To get into any kind of friendship, you are quite vulnerable and honest with one another, right? You are transparent, right? I don't think that the person that was teaching the lesson or that I was talking to got it fully, but I was like, you're right, you are transparent. She had a great point. I can't deny it. In order to have friendship, you're telling the secrets, you're chatting, you're commiserating at times too. So what pivots when there's a row or a rift between the two of you? Can we not still stay in that authenticity and honesty? Or now do we have hiding, lying ass work to do? She's like, you can't. She specifically said you cannot set boundaries with my mother, with this family member, and still expect to have a friendship with her. Oh, really? That's exactly why I was dispatched in, because I'm here to do the work that the next of kin would not do. I'm going to explain that a little bit to you guys. Last July, I was sitting on a couch with an octopus face. I was entangled on some Netflix and chill type stuff, okay? Y'all know, TMI over here, we're going to say it. And, but not fully Netflix and chill, just Netflix and, entanglements. Anyway, and I was doing mushrooms. We gonna, these are my confessions. The beach just next to me, open up. I was doing mushrooms with the octopus fae, because the fairies love mushrooms. And I always, if there's a fairy in my life, no matter who they are, I always try to make sure they get some mushrooms, because it really, is good for their connection and soul. In any case, another video for another day. And this friend that we're talking about today, that I had to set the boundaries with, was calling, which is fine. We had a normal rapport, but she also knew that I was kind of chilling and relaxing with someone, right? But that's okay. I was not mad about it, because we had established a norm of communication, and I really loved it. I enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite things about our connection, was the frequency and the normalcy. It was so comforting so comforting that it started to lean into codependency. That's me telling the truth about me. I got it wrong. I allowed it. You know, I can't come on here and be like, yeah, everyone's making you the victim, you the victim. No, I played a huge part in how this did and didn't go, and that's something that you absolutely need to know, and it's only fair for me to say that to you. Sorry, I gotta take off my little coverall because it's getting hot out. It's getting hot out here. Anyway, I'm sitting on the couch with Octopus Face, and I sit up. I unentangle myself from all of her freaking tentacles, and I sit up, and I am in tears because the mushrooms are. I hope that didn't like rustle the mic when I took off my thing, but the mushrooms are like coursing through my veins. And when you do mushrooms, it gives you a lot of insight. You're very connected to the earth. That's why I think it's fantastic for fairies. So you're very connected to the earth. You're very connected to the reality and the truth of things. Your synapses are firing just in this brilliant way. And the tea was really hitting me. And she was like, what's wrong? Because she thought, you know, she's like, you have to take that. And I was like, I'll call her back later. And then I started to cry. This is the truth, guys. I started to cry. And I started to cry because my angels were downloading me in that moment with what was about to happen. And they said, you have to own it. You cannot run from this. It was back in July. Not this July that happened, a full total year ago. They said everything that you know is about to change. And you are going to have to either teach a lesson, you are going to have to be the lesson, or you're going to have to let go. And as I'm sitting on the couch, only the Octopus Fae could attest to this, because I didn't, I'm in the moment, so I was sharing it with her because she's like, what's wrong? And she was being, you know, compassionate in that moment. Every villain is not always a villain always, right? We wouldn't love them if they were. But she was being compassionate and kind of holding space for me. And I was like, there are some issues that are coming up regarding me and this person and codependency. And she will not do the work that she is having to do with the people that are closest in her life that she might be called to. And so the angel said, it's going to have to be me. Y'all, the way that broke my fucking heart, because I heard it so clearly. They said there's another relationship or another situation or other stuff in her life that needs some cleaning, that needs some healthy boundaries, and that needs some reassessing, right? That's her tea. But it's not, and I can't even spill it really because it would feel inappropriate to me, but just you need to understand that juxtaposed as to why this lesson of codependency happened. And they said there are things in her life that need her attention. And we've been screaming at her, specifically is what they said. Screaming at her, begging her to, oh, they just said I need to connect this to thumbnail, the power bank. So I'll upload this when I get home, and you'll see the power bank, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So they said the video can be encapsulated. They said you should go listen because it would have been better in person. My angels are on my ass right now. Anyway, so the power bank needs to be the thumbnail. Okay, got it. But they were screaming at her, and they said, we've been talking to her for years, guys, years. Listen to me. This is how our angels talk to us, too. So we're not just going to talk, you know, it's not just talking about this person. They talk to me and you the same way, and we don't listen. Me, too. Same thing, okay? They said, we've been screaming at her for years that she needs to fix this, that she needs to get this right, or that she needs to do whatever. I don't know. That's her business. But my point is this. They said because she refused to work on it, and because she doesn't think it's an issue, or she wants to bury her head in the sand like an ostrich will do. And me too. I love a good sand bury. I have been an empath that has kept my head in the sand. So I'm not talking shit, guys. This is something we all have to go through when we're on this earth plane. This is God's plan, to work through our shit. So, because she refused to do it, in that moment, on that July, adjacent to the Octopus Bay, the angels told me that we would have to go our own ways if she was not going to do the work. The way that I wanted to keep her, y'all, the way that I wanted to keep her, the way I was like, can I keep her? I love this person. I loved her so dearly. I was like obsessed with her energy in the best way, but I think she was obsessed with my energy too. Now let's talk about a little bit of projection and flipping. People manifest you. Even the time that we met, she was like, you're mine. I want you. You're my person. Immediately, I've known you before in other lifetimes. People could say that to you all the time, but in this case, it felt divine, right? Sometimes I've had it been said, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. And even in that moment, I was like, okay, crazy lady. But I really, really enjoyed the connection. So I'm not even going to hold you. I'm not going to lie. It was so healing for me at the time. It was so necessary for me at the time. And I valued it so much because I thought she would get it and allow me room to grow and stretch, but that is not what she wanted. Here's the thing you need to know, empath people will get obsessed with your energy. So if I had obsession at one time for her, she definitely had it for me. No matter what inauthenticity she wants to live in, the reality unfolded right before me. I was like, "Oh, girl, we done flip the switch, okay?" Which is fine. That's okay. That can be a volley back and forth. Some of you guys have friends you've had in your life for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're your person, man. They're a vibe. You just love the shit out of them. And that's okay. But in order for those relationships to stand the test of time, they will be tested in some kind of way. And we got away with a long time with no tests. Man, we were living our best life. It was so good. But when the test came, and on that July a year ago, when my angel said, either y'all gonna work on this or you're gonna have to let it go. And I said, no. Let me tell you something. Y'all see that meme? I'm gonna connect it below. That guy that's like about to bungee jump and he's trying to negotiate with the people holding him. He's like, let me tell you something. This shit's hilarious to me. That's exactly what happened. We were about to bungee, and I was the one on the edge, up there with the angels, like, listen, let me tell you something. Don't make me let go. I love this woman. I love her so much. I love this girl. She's amazing. I value her. I did not want to let go. But they were like, okay. They're like, okay, you don't worry about it then. Just make sure you communicate regarding your relationship and make sure that when the test comes up, you don't miss it. And they said, don't worry, we'll ring the alarm. We'll ring the bell. Oh boy, did they ring the bell. My God, they rang the damn bell. So that there wasn't too much friction happening then. It was just the beginning of the achy stretch of separation that all of us have felt, unfortunately. You know, on my website, I have a reading called something about besties and something, but it's about the breakup of a friendship, even if it's not your bestie in this case, right? But it's about the breakup of a friendship and how hard that can be. I counsel a lot of women because it's an unspoken pain that we're not allowed to carry. You're not allowed to talk about how much it hurts to have distance from any friend, whether it's your bestie or not, right? And so I was thinking, guys, let me tell you something. I don't want to do this. And they said, you know what? It's above you is what I just channeled. They said it's not up to you is what I was about to say, but it was above me. That moment when the mushrooms are coursing through my vein, I physically distanced myself for a few minutes from Octopus Bay so I could make sure I wasn't in her energy. I was like, oh no, this is a test, and it's all the theme of our test. Every test, it has a subject matter. Ours was codependency. My angels were showing me how codependent I had become. They were showing me that she was codependent too, and that they said, you're the tribute. Fuck all, man. I had to be the tribute. And that's the thing that happens to spiritual people, is often we're put in people's lives. We're like, how come they treated me this way? How come it went left? How come they didn't get to stay? Why don't I ever have whatever? Why doesn't happiness happen for me? Whatever, right? And they said, well, it can, but only in authenticity. That was also a subtext of this relationship dynamic between she and I. It had been authentic. There had been no lies for so long. And then when we were tested and there was just a tiny bit of strain, then everything became about subterfuge, lying, and deep hidden pain and feelings of betrayal. And I was like, I want to fix this. I want to talk to you about how I feel. But if you want to be type A and never be held accountable for anything, because you can't be, like, you're used to always being in charge, well then this is going to be harder than it has to be. Because it was something I wanted to transmute with her. In reality, I was like, I'll stay with you, girl. I'm never going to run. That was my promise that I make when I get into relationships. If I'm committed to you and I know you're a soulmate connection, I don't just fucking run if you're willing to be honest. But if you're a freaking pathological liar, I don't think she was a pathological liar. I was talking about Octopus Day. She was also a pathological liar. But this woman was not. That's why this was even more surprising. The behavior that I received from Octopus Day, go watch the video if you haven't seen it. It has an octopus on the thumbnail. She was fucking insane. And I was expecting nothing but more and more terribleness from her. So I was like, bye, I gotta go. That was easy. This was tough. When you really love someone and you know that they have goodness in them and they love people too, but you're dealing with emotional manipulation and codependency issues and all this other bullshit, and you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But you are the person that's the tribute, that's tasked to do it, then it's something you have to do. My angel says you don't get away with this. You don't get away from it. This is meant here for you. You are supposed to help her, and you are supposed to help her push through. But that doesn't mean she gets to fucking walk over you, treat you poorly, be disrespectful to your face, degrade you, talk shit to you, and lie to your face. That part. So there's a fine line, empath. If you're doing this work, yeah, be the tribute. Stand and hold space, hold the gap, but do not let people treat you and try to stun you and try to treat you like shit. And I was like, oh, this is what happens when tower moments come. The reason that happened is because they said it's time to run. They will make you so uncomfortable in a relationship where beyond it's no more fun, the fun is done. You don't even want to be there at all. Fuck fun. It's not even not fun. It's like agony. It's like uncomfortable. It's like a chemical peel. It's not something that you would have happen if you were in a spirit or a place of wanting to stay in a connection where you're like, I can work through this and let's push through. So the battery pack that you'll see on the thumbnail, that you saw in the thumbnail, was about the fact that she's emptying, or she doesn't feel so amazing, and no disconnection feels good. A lot of people think that it's easy for one party or another, depending on who initiates it. She didn't know that I was having to carry the weight of this for over a year. The first time she was gossiping, the first time she was lying on me, the first time she was steeped in dishonesty happened over a year ago, before this octopus fae ever came into my life, okay? There were things where she was disclosing like financial stuff to family members. I'm like, why is this person coming up and talking to me about what my finances are when I've never talked to her about it? Why are you gossiping about me? Why is this your way? And I talked to her about it nice and calm years and years and years ago. You get me, guys? So people are like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? Why is this happening? This is so sudden. I don't understand what's happening. And that really pissed me off when she was pretending that she didn't understand. What is going on? Oh no, you know what's going on, homie. you know what's going on. People will try to gaslight the shit out of you. Even to the last messages and connections and communications we had, I'd already clarified and checked my map, and she was still like, I don't understand what's happening. And I was like, okay, well, you'll understand in my absence. You'll figure it out. You're smart. She's very smart. She'll get it. So what I want you guys to understand is that there are situations like that where it's not your job to raise someone. They know exactly what the fuck they're doing. Have you ever been an asshole to someone, guys? Every one of us here has. And you knew when you were doing it. Had someone pissed you off and you cussed them out? Have you lost your temper? Now I'm a fire sign, so that's one of the things I always had to wrangle. And with her, what she didn't realize is how I spared her, even by the disconnection, because I didn't want to fucking let loose. Even on these things, what you're hearing is a tempered teaching perspective. I didn't want to dog cuss her ass out and really eviscerate her because I loved her so much. She was not loving me. Love me. Why do we gotta break up? That's what I just was channeling. Yeah, she did not want to be honest with me at all. And she was thinking, oh my God, you're being such a bitch. And I was like, really? You have no fucking idea, because I've never let you see that side of me. Because even though I've integrated my shadow, I keep it in the tuck for such a time as this. Because if I have to back someone up, you're going to back the fuck up off of me. But I didn't want to give her that type of energy ever. I wanted to spare her from seeing my shadow side that way. And even in that, I learned lessons right now to this day. That sometimes, even in the beginning of beautiful connections, you should let a little shadow slide slip out so they know what you're really about. Just in case they want to try you, they know what they might be in store for, so they can't say they were so shocked by it. But I was overcorrecting and trying so hard to restrain the frustration of knowing and hearing the gossip and everything. When I say hearing, I'm clairaudient. I hear when people talk about me. I know when someone's talking to their mama about me, specifically Octopus Faye. I'm looking at you. I know, like, my God, the pipeline. Get that under control, girl. I know when people are talking. I know what they're saying. I know what people feel. And it doesn't matter what people look at me in my eyes. No, you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I'm actually, girl, I was about to say I'm Jay-Z. I'm not Jay-Z either, but what it means is there's a thing I'm channeling from Jay-Z. I went to see his museum in Brooklyn. Yeah, Octopus Faye and the mom were wild. My angels were like, this is a little tapped into my brain. That was another fully codependent situation. I don't know why the angels think I'm the codependent specialist and they dispatched me into all this bullshit, but anyway, what was I going to say? I went to the Jay-Z exhibit in Brooklyn, and there was one thing where you walk in and he was like, it's essentially him, I'm paraphrasing, saying like, This was all part of my vision, kind of like a prophecy. Everyone thought I was crazy, but look at my reality. Like, he spoke into existence his life. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm JC because I know when I'm right. I know when I'm right. I'm paid to know when I'm right, and that's something that I will never back down from, because I've had people try to silence me and shut me up all my life, only to find out later how fucking right I was. So in this case, I knew I was right. But she didn't know that I've been carrying the weight of it, been mildly irritated. And, it's like, speaking of, we're at the beach, a piece of sand gets into an oyster and it grows into a pearl. Well, the pearl for me is wisdom. The hangman is a tarot card that I associate that with, because divers used to literally dive for pearls before they found other ways to farm them. And they would have to hold their breath. And I was just watching a tribe recently, a special tribe that actually has their ears punctured, their ear drums punctured so that they can dive deeper, and their spleens have biologically adjusted to be 50% larger than other humans on Earth. This one special tribe, I forget where it's at, so that they can dive down into their sea, whatever. Like, they literally biologically adapted and evolved to be able to be divers. Anyway, just like a free diver would do, you can train yourself to hold your breath to go down. Well, I associate that with the hangman, because the hangman has a crown at the top of his head, but it's upside down. You volunteer to be a murderer. You volunteer to be a tribute, guys. You get it? And the reason is you volunteer to go through a shitty situation so that you can come up with wisdom. And you're volunteering so you can go down and get that oyster that otherwise would be worthless. But if you're lucky, you pull up and you might just have a pearl in it. Well, I got a pearl, a beautiful pearl of wisdom. So many nuggets and so many lessons that I will teach you from this relationship and from this dynamic, because this is what it is to transmute it. When something ends, you have to transmute it, because everybody can look at you and be like, oh, that was easy for you. No, I've been doing it longer than you, but it's not easy for me. It hurt too. But I have to turn this into something good for the collective, because I can't just be miserable and be sad about it, because it's not something that can be fixed. So when you have that hangman card, understand it's not just that you're in limbo and you're waiting and there's inertia. It means that you are maybe sacrificing something to have greater wisdom. Or maybe you allowed yourself or volunteered or signed up for something that was shitty, so that you could come out of it with a deeper wisdom about your reality and your spirituality. Okay? So the pearl that I came back up with after holding my breath was just painful, right? And that's what I did over the last couple of years. I was holding my breath. I was holding it in. I was trying to say small things, like little bubbles would come out where I'd be like, hey, that's inappropriate. Hey, this is a problem. Hey, what's happening here? And then the more that I talked, the more that was in her front. And I can't deal with people that are fucking snowflakes. And I don't mean that about her color or race. I'm talking about, if you're so sensitive to anybody being like, hey, do you think that this is out of order? When you're fucking out of order? Now, not everything she did was out of order. It wasn't. She was lovely and gracious and generous and all kinds of things, emotionally, energetically, in every way. But when she finally got to the out of order place, that was undeniable, indisputable, and I said, that was so unacceptable. Now she a snowflake. Now she melted. Now she a snowflake on the beach. She is a snowflake in the sun. I'm a raisin in the sun. She's a snowflake in the sun. I said, oh, absolutely not, ma'am. No. You can't run from this, because you promised me that we were going to do relationship. And if we're doing relationship, then let's get to the fucking business of doing relationship, which is the hard part, where you don't always get to be right. Those are dynamics that she enjoyed in her life. She could just shut it down or pat about it, or just be the moral, authority in her life. Not if you're with an empath and a metaphysician that's dedicated her life to truth, fairness, and balance. With a Mars and Libra, absolutely not, ma'am. You don't get to get away with injustice with me. You don't get, hey! I am. I'm making a video, but hey, you're on video. Say hi, guys. And so, y'all know I always have my sparkly stuff, so everybody always says hi when I'm out of the I forget that. I'm like, why is everybody talking to me? But I forget, like, I'm me. I'm me and all my Leo energy. So, in any case, that is something that I was like, you don't get to run from this. You don't get to run from this. One time in your whole life, when someone said, this ain't right, this is not right, and you were dead ass wrong. These weren't little infractions and minor things. This was just meanness for the sake of it. And here's what I've learned in my life. And from my trauma, a lot of people are like, oh, don't live in your trauma. Yeah, you're right. But your trauma informs you on how to survive. And when she was purposely trying to trigger me, which no one in her life would believe, because a lot of people hide their hands, and she gets to play nice and play sweet with everybody else. Absolutely not, ma'am. I know you. And in fact, ironically, the thumbnail on the screen knows her too. She knows whatever work she can get up to, good, bad, or indifferent. But we have our allegiances. I don't expect her to not pledge her full allegiance to her because that's their connection and that's their soulmate contract on this earth. I was just a little fly-by-night thing that zoomed in to help her finally be accountable and authentic in the lesson. One of the things, pay attention to what people say to you about the things that people say to them. And one of the things she said to me once I thought was very powerful, but it was a precursor, and I'm going to share it here, not to just spill secrets. But she said specifically that she once had a boss that was very traumatizing for her that said she would not live in authenticity. Specifically, she said, "You are the most inauthentic person I've ever met." Now, I couldn't relate to what she was saying because all I was getting was juicy, loving, kind, warm, welcoming energy. And I do not listen to what people tell me about other people or say. I ride the ride and I find out the experience for myself in every kind of way. So I don't just say, oh, someone told me that that person's great, or someone told me that person's a bitch, and then I run with it. I say, okay, let me see. My discernment works. I am anchored in my reality. Let's see how they treat me. And so up until that time, the treatment was divine. But when push came to shove and it was time to do the test, then the treatment was less than the best. And that's when I saw exactly what she said came to fruition in fullness. That boss had eyes on her. That boss was only a soulmate in her life, and she would never say, just fuck her, she wasn't a soulmate. Yeah, she was. She was dispatched, even if it was uncomfortable, to show you something that was ugly. Because your angels, for years and years, have been saying, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. That part. Y'all get it? We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty, about your codependency, about your unwillingness. And I'm not just yelling and talking about her, I'm talking about all of us. Every single one of us has to come to terms with lessons like that. We've been trying to reach you about your health, Monette. We've been trying to reach you about your overgiving, Monette. You see? My angels have been trying to reach me about my own extended warranty, so I will never talk about anybody else and not spill my tea. I am nobody perfect here, and I'm not impervious to criticism, and my angels are on my ass every day that I'm living. Promise you. But sometimes they dispatch me to be the observer and the moral authority, ironically, no matter how much someone hates it, of someone else's life. Where's there some bullshit here for you? You wanted me here? You like the juiciness? You want to be obsession? Amor? No, ese amor. I'm chilling today. That's amor. It's no more obsession. What am I feeling? Why am I holding on? It's not love. It starts to become obsession. And it starts to go wrong. So now if you don't want to be in a relationship with me and do the work that we're called to do, then why are we hanging on? When I sat on that couch in July, and I knew that this was going to be the test of my life thus far, I thought, oh my God, another one? Like DJ Khaled, another one. God did. And in fact, that was the truth. God did. God absolutely did. He orchestrated this so that we were both so fucking uncomfortable, that we were both tested, that we were both triggered with each of our own very own personal curated triggers. She was triggering me with curated triggers. I was triggering her with curated triggers. I didn't even know it. She may not have fully known it. Towards the end. That's why I cut. You need to cut it. That's why I cut it. Because she was being on purpose. She was purposely treating me in a way she wouldn't treat her pets. If she had adopted a shelter pet that was abused, she would have gone out of her way to protect it. She would not do the same for me, is what my angel said. She's not doing the same for you. That's what they said. They said, so the irony here is that Cruella de Vil was terrible to the 101 Dalmatians. And they said this woman would never be terrible to any Dalmatian or any canine friend. But to you, she is the Cruella de Vil for humans. Oh, God, that was a word. Right down to the sun sign. The star card here, Aquarius energy, any air sign will be so fucking cold and so unfeeling and so disconnected when they're trying to protect themselves, or when they want to be purposely, evil, or when they want to spite you. Oh my God, if you want to play mind games, get you an air sign, okay, sis? So my angels, that was one of the ones that I hadn't had yet. I had been friends with air signs, but I hadn't had the lower vibration. This year they said, you're elevating, we're putting you to the next level in class, so we're going to give you 2 air signs at one time. 2 girls, 1 pup. Exactly. Both of them were full of shit at the end of it. That's what it was. So I had to deal with that shit, and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? They said, oh, you've been living too good. You had too much on the bright side of the air sign. Now let's show you mind game and inauthenticity and coldness and spiteful energy. And they both had a brilliant combination of both of them because it is actually their natural proclivity when they're in their lower vibration. I also got them in higher vibrations too. And that was a sight to behold. And I would recommend a high vibration air sign to any of you. And my God, has he sent them in. I have lovely clients and friends that are air signs that are honest about their shadow, thank God, and honest about their light. And that's why they can stay in my life. That part. You need to be judging and being the moral authority of your life of who is allowed to have access to you. So when I sat on the couch in July and I knew I had this spiritual work to do, they said if she's not going to do it with you, she does not get to quote unquote keep you. What? I hated it. I hated it. I had a tantrum, but I had been carrying it by myself. And it mirrored my twin flame relationship, ironically, where she was also wanting to treat me like shit, but keep me close proximity because my energy makes people feel good. My energy is, validating. It's verifying. It's also abundant, depending on what you want to use it for. My twin flame that I got out of my life many years ago used it to try to literally siphon my job, copy me. When I first told her about my angel, she literally told me I was crazy. All of a sudden, she's doing readings at her office and talking to me and being like, I know this is wrong because I don't even really believe in this shit, but I love that everybody comes to me. Everybody gets a chance to see if you're going to be corrupted. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. People look at me, and I've had people say this to me, what's so special about Monette? Why do people like Monette? Monette. People are always worried about me. They don't get it. But what they don't get is that I live in integrity, and that's why I am blessed or tested. Come on, y'all, because the test happened the way that I am. It's because when it's in my hand, I'm not willy-nilly and being abusive with it. When I have money, I'm sharing it with people. I'm being abundant. And even if they use me, and even if they take advantage of me, even if they're like, oh, there's a sucker and I see, guess what happens in my reality later? It's a karmic repayment that overflows times 20. Because they said, your heart came from a good place, girl. Yes, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty regarding doing the most. But if you can rein that in, then you keep abundance close. But also we know that when we bless you more so, you will not be selfish and you will not be miserly. You will share and share with whomever. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about emotional riches, spiritual insights. Those are your pearls, guys. That's what the Bible means to say, do not cast your pearls before swine. So, when people get access to your power empath, they may want to be on demon time because they don't know what to do when they have access to your energy. When people are coming to them and you pass along, any teacher should not be threatened by someone becoming better than them. That is literally our job on earth. I'm always happy to teach, but the angels will disconnect me from anyone that is going to not live in integrity because they don't want them to have these spiritual insights and gifts. They do not want them to have access to me, to siphon off of me, to build whatever fucked up dreams where they're going to hurt other people in the future. Specifically, that octopus fae, that was exactly why they said cut her away. They said she just wants power. She just wants access. She just wants influence. She does not even really have anything to say. She is an empty vessel. And they said, and if she wanted to do the work and do the deep work and be honest and do some disconnections and deal with some codependency, and not disconnect fully, but she has some codependency stuff, then we would have allowed her to have a full pipeline to you. And I want you to think about your sacral, your belly button. Listen, when you're standing in front of someone that you don't trust, stand askew from them, like turn to the side. Because quite literally, that umbilical cord connects in the spiritual realm. So they can siphon your energy that way. I know that sounds like some woo-woo shit, but it's the truth. So, but even if you're not doing that, if you're sharing energy and intimacy and you're talking all the time with someone, you're still connected in that way. There's a cord there. And in any case, that's why they say to me who stays and who goes. Because if I give you access and I'm committed to growth, then that's something we can do. But what we can't do is have you think you're going to get it and then abuse the people, quote unquote, beneath you. And the angels always know, even before I do, who is worthy, essentially, of staying proximal to me, because they're going to be good stewards of whatever the energy is that I share with them or give to them. The same is true for you. You need to think of yourself as a commodity that way because you are. That power bank that you're looking at on the thumbnail, is exactly how people see you. They want to fill up from you, and they get a charge off of you. And we exchange energy with other people. That is not to say that this woman did not feed me in my life, that she did not charge me up, that she did not listen to me talk ad nauseum herself for hours. She did. And that's why I tell you, y'all, I thought we were passing this test. I thought for sure we're going to pass. If anybody in this green earth I'm going to pass this with, and they said, this is a lesson, this is part of the pearl I learned. You can't ever pass a test with someone who insists that they won't integrate their shadow. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. You don't have to be perfect. And you don't have to not be mad. And you don't have to not be jealous. And you don't have to not be sad. You don't have to be territorial. You don't have to not be whatever, right? All of the shadow side stuff that we all try to hide, we all are part of that. I'm that. I'm a Leo. I'm a fucking territorial person. When I love someone, I am like, mine. And in my life, I have had to suppress that because people would always act like it was overwhelming when they were happy to live in their shadow. And finally, I've integrated my shadow. I'm like, no, if you come into my life, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I'm going to love you real hard, real good. I'm going to love you completely. We go together real bad. We go together real bad. And if you want to play mind games off of that, then you'll miss out on the purest love you ever had. But I also keep it in balance. It's not some weird thing where I'm stalking you and it's the end of life. I don't do any of that. People don't believe me. But when I'm done with someone, I don't give a fuck about what's happening in your life. The reason that I'm talking about this today is because the balloon literally blew into my hand in my way. And that is not my energy, guys. And that's another thing. You need to know the difference between your energy and someone else's. It's not that I miss the drama we had in the last 2 years. I don't. But she misses me. And that doesn't mean that I won't miss her or that I'm not human. Of course. But when someone starts acting badly, that's a little gift to you to get you out of your fifi so you can do the spiritual work of disconnecting that you need to do. Salt water is another way too. I'll be dipping in here in a moment, y'all, to wash off all of the energy. We're outside of a huge Aquarius full blue moon. It's no coincidence. My angels were guiding me like a hammer. Get out, get out, get out of this. She is turning toxic. And if you are going to be the tribute, then the lesson must be taught and you have to follow through with it. I didn't want to. When I tell you, my angels, listen, let me tell you something. Your angels and your ancestor team will listen to what you want in your dreams. If you want someone to stay close to you, they will allow it. Eventually, they will get louder and louder with the lessons, but they will allow it for as long as you do. And while they are close to you, they are protected karmically from whatever emotions they really need to deal with or other karma that will befall them if they drag you, because God bless. I always pray for my enemies. Y'all, if you see me with a bear, pray for the bear. I always pray for the bear because I know how my ancestors are up there. I know how fucking ruthless they are. And I'm always like, literally, I was staying attached to her out of fear for her. I was like, I don't think you can handle this. Beyonce, can you handle it? I don't think you can handle it. You are not ready for what's about to happen in your life. She may go back to whatever, but the misery inside is going to come to a fucking boil because she was out of line. It doesn't matter how she lied to anybody else around her. My ancestors know she was on demon time. And guys, that's what you need to know. You don't need to do a million karma readings. You don't need to ask a million questions. And also this, I always let people look me right in my face and be like, I'm telling you the truth. And I say, I hope you are, sis. Because it doesn't matter what you tell me. Because once I walk away, whatever the lie was, we put right in your face. And I will be allowed to not only, if I don't put it in your face, they will put it in your face via other lessons and other persons. But what they will do is tap you right on the shoulder and say, you remember Monette? Well, you remember the collective? You remember that empath? You remember that earth angel? You remember the collective? You remember how you thought this was a game? You know how you thought you were going to get over? Okay, they may not have taken retribution or justice out, but these demons, they like their clout and they will collect their pound of flesh. And when I say demons, people can be operating out of low vibrational energies. So when that boss said to her, you're so inauthentic, I said, please, you're as sweet as honey, sweetie. You're a queen bee. You're a honey, honey, honey. Until that honey was crystallized and sharpened and she was fashioned a fucking shank to stab me. Y'all, shit. I was like, oh shit. I thought she was like, shank? Stab you? I would never. I was like, oh, okay, you have some more work to do. I can't stay here to do it with you. When you remove yourself, then they can start to get to work. And I loved her that much. Because to stay there was only going to leave us both hurt. She would have found some other way to shank me differently. Then guess what would have happened? She doesn't understand how I spared her. Now my real demon side energy would have come out. Go back and listen to my reading where I said get to know your shadow and your demons because you need to know when to put them on a leash. I had to put my shit on a leash with her. I said, oh, no. My twin flame, also a Caucasian lady. I was in Alabama though. So that was real tricky. The way that I wanted to, can I just say, I was feeling a certain kind of special, very way. But I was trafficking in her energy. She was violent towards me. She was emotionally violent towards me. So you will share that and you'll have to separate and be like, where do I stand? Where do I end? What is really happening? But I remember being like, oh my God, I just want to like throat chop her. I just want to throat chop her. The way she was lying, she had turned demonic. I was just like, not even a punch. I'm not a fighter. I was just like, just a quick karate chop to the throat. Like, shut up. She was really trying me, and that was a romantic connection. So that was different. But what I'm going to tell you is this, is that I had to literally, my ancestor came, and maybe some of you guys can understand and relate to that. My ancestor came to me, and he was like, he was like, handle it how I would. And my father on this earth was so fucking abusive physically. And that's not something that I ever have aspired to be, want to be. It's not in me. And specifically because of the trauma that I suffered at his hands. So I literally had to dance. You know the devil and the angel on your shoulder? My angels were like, go in the room, close the door, and start praying. My dad was like, handle her the way I would. You get it? That's understanding your shadow and your life. And a lot of people don't want to say that shit out loud. They don't want to say the quiet part out loud. The thing that goes bump in the night out loud. But that's where I was at. And I was at this like fork in the road. And guess what would have happened if I would have been taking my father's bait of anger, because he was so angry watching it. I would have ended up in somebody's jail, in an Alabama jail, for being a black woman that abused a white woman. Oh God, you see how the devil will try to get you in a split second. You can be out of your body if you don't know your demons and your angels, that part. So that's like very candid of me, but that's the truth. My angel said, you got some praying to do, Lucy. And I went to the other room and I cried in the pillow to myself and I prayed and said, what the fuck? But I heard my dad in my head, like, handle it like I would. I was like, no. And he said, okay, no, that's cool. You did the right thing, but I'm going to handle it for you later. And so I know he will. In whatever way, I know it did, but it only happened when I removed my energy. This case is much different, obviously, not that dramatic, thank God, but still, same lesson. The ancestors handle it for you, or the angels do, or someone else will be dispatched in that person's life, and this lesson will repeat, and someone else will say to her the same thing I said. Where's your authenticity? Why are you lying to me? What's the truth? How can I help you? Can we live in honesty? And if she wants to keep repeating the lesson, she'll do it again and again. But I remove my empathetic protection. The empath umbrella is a real thing, y'all. It covers people from not only going through withdrawal with you, hence the power bank, but it covers them from facing whatever their demon was whispering for them to do. See, they have them too. People think that, again, you're impervious and perfect. You're not. I'm just honest. I know my shit. I know who I am. I know who I'm not. And I know how I'd like to handle things. And in that case, when I say I wanted to unleash my demons, it was more of a tongue lashing, obviously, of truth. But they said, no. She won't even listen to you. She thinks you're being mean to her. We'll send in other people to tell her the same thing you did. And she'll know exactly that you were trying to do it gently. That's another thing, empath. We have a way of delicacy and diplomacy. Now, a lot of people can say my words are acerbic. They are. I know I'm a verbal assassin. That's part of my shadow and protection and part of my life for education, okay? But what I'm going to tell you is this. If she would have transmuted it with me and been a scotch of honest, a modicum of fucking honest with me, after I asked her repeatedly, especially in the last few months as we were on the countdown, I would have stayed in the trenches with her. I would have been so proud of her. And this would have been a lesson I taught on here later where I was like, this girl, look at her. She did it. I'm so proud of her. We were in the trenches. I didn't think we were getting out. But she stuck in the hard part. But instead, she was so offended that someone would find faults. Oh, mama, you have faults. You're out of line. You were out of fucking pocket. You wouldn't want anyone to talk to your daughter that way. No one could talk to Legacy that way. The Legacy on the power bank, no one could talk to her that way. And also, she wouldn't allow it. That part. Really. Truly and actually. Because that Legacy, God bless, is incredibly powerful with boundaries. She taught me about boundaries. I'm going to tell you a little story of why I also loved but kept boundaries with Legacy, because she was very powerful energy. And when I met her, she was just graduating college, or she was still in college, and I was friends with her. I was at her college graduation. Anyway, she had a boyfriend there, and the boyfriend did not do right by her. And literally, when she discovered it, she put him out of the car in the middle of a road trip. He was in a different state. She called his mom like a fucking boss and said, come pick your son up. He's on some fuck shit. I'm not dealing with it. And she never looked back. And so it was disappointing when I was articulating my emotions and feelings to this woman that she was advising me to not set boundaries, because I watched her do things that women I wish would do, that college girls I wish would do. Instead of dealing with an F-boy to traumatize you and put you in therapy for the next 7 years and not have you trust your new connection that's right for you when it comes in, she cut that shit and nipped it in the bud. It was the most boss-ass thing I've ever seen. It was so savage, and I was so proud of her. She was powerful. She is powerful. But when we are steeped in our codependency, we will make exceptions for people that we love more. I know I did. I loved her family member so much. And for over a year or more, I was afraid to touch this and deal with it because of what was in store. But what was in store for me was freedom, because it hurts me to live with liars and people that are inauthentic. It hurts to get constructive criticism, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. People talk shit to me every day Jesus sends, okay? I get emails and letters. I always talk about the good ones, but there's bad ones too. And I only just started putting my contact information down in the bottom of my description box, so people would have to search to find to cuss me out, okay? But I always intake what here is truth. And if you're afraid to ask yourself that question and not be as transparent as that balloon with yourself, someone else is going to catch you slipping. They're going to come and they're going to talk to you either crazy or rightly, and you may miss the lesson of it. You need to know who you are. Are you moving sprightly, or are you moving atrophy regarding your spiritual energy? Is your spiritual hygiene good? What's good, son? Because someone's always going to see you, and that boss had eyes on her. Whether they ever were supposed to like each other or not, she was dispatched into that for that reason, to trigger that in her. And there's a reason, so that she could say it to me, so that even though I wanted to keep these rose-colored glasses on and never see, the angel said, when she started to really try me, oh, say, can you see? I said, oh, by the dawn's early light. That this Aquarius energy thinks I'm not that bright. But this is already a subject matter that's come up in her life. People will say you're the villain, guys, okay? But the truth of the matter is, you're the tribute that volunteered to do the work that a lot of other people ran away from doing, that a lot of other people said they were not going to be pursuing. A lot of other people just said, I can't do this relationship, or I whatever, but you told the truth of it. Here's why. This is bullshit. And I don't know how to get past it unless you're going to be honest. That part. So that was my lesson for today. Before I can tuck in to my beach snacks and go play in the water, I had to deal with someone's energy that doesn't belong to me, that I will now have to discard again. Okay, that's another message. Do as many cord cuttings, burials, and whatever you need to do so that you can get this other person's energy off of you. The time for them to be connected to you was when you were in their face, pleading with them for a scotch of honesty. And if they don't want to give that to you, then forever they be gone, to dashed away to eternity. Get someone else to do it. Not my problem. It's just not my problem. And with codependency, there's a real trick about that, where you'll be lured into thinking you have to always stay there and carry all the weight. Well, a relationship takes two. And for the first time in our relationship, she had some work to do with the way that she talked to me crazy as fuck, and was also betraying me on a regular too, and being a monitoring spirit. That part, I was like, bitch, this is wild. And it was wild because she had watched this happen in my life. She'd seen the way people can get a little obsessive with me, and people literally run up to me or chase after me, like physically touch me. She's seen it all. This woman has been by my side. I love her so much. So why to my face would she lie? Because just like Jesus did to Peter, deny, deny, deny. When the test is in front of you, sometimes you will lean into your demon side. And that doesn't mean that you don't deserve love. I want her to have love. I want her to be good on her journey. I want her to have friendships. I want her to have people that fit her, but I want her to never disrespect them, or she'll have to repeat the lesson. Not everyone will be even as gentle with me. She thought I wasn't gentle. She had no idea. Let her try the wrong person and she will see. exactly how this might have gone in another way if I wasn't wrapped in the codependency and pledging my allegiance to love because of the kindnesses that she did show to me. But that's the final message here. You cannot live on the future from the love they gave you in the past. They have to show up for you every day. They have to be authentic when they're in your face. And they have to try to communicate with you if things are going awry or going bad. Those are the relationships that deserve to stay. Those are the relationships you do not cut off or push away. Those are the relationships that stay in play in your life. Not playing in your face, but playing as in we are still in the game together. Don't one up each other. These soulmate connections are precious. One thing I said to her upon our exit interview was this: I can't replace you, nor am I trying to. There's no one in my life currently. There's no one that's even comparable to you. You are head and shoulders above what you've given to me when you were showing me pure, honest, authentic love is simply some of the best. That's why I refuse to accept less from you, because you're capable of better. I know what it is when you're in your high vibration, when you're clear and caring and emotionally available. This other side I could deal with too, but only if you tell the truth. And not just to me, tell it to you. That's the lesson of the star tarot card that floated my way today. Pay attention to the signs and symbols that float your way, especially in a connection, after a connection, before the connection. The angels always have something to say. So good sharing energy with you guys. I swear to God, I hope this is recorded the whole time. Oh, it has. Oh, Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me, and I know. I love you guys too. It has been so good sharing energy with you. Ah, there you guys are. I love you guys. Have a fantastic day. And pay attention to the signs and symbols that flow your way. Come back and join me next time, guys. We'll continue to evolve together.